Game started.
Ah, we got a game. Okay, let's try e4. Looks like a center counter. Okay, I like to play the pawn up first. You can bring the knight out at some point to kick the queen, or even play c4 to kick the queen if you develop this knight first. Though he can pin it, which is often a good idea, pinning that knight. And now I can play c4 and kick the queen because he hasn't put any pressure on this pawn.
Check.
And play the bishop here. Yeah, that's a debatable move, I guess. Let's go ahead and castle. Let's see. He can win the d pawn now, right?
Server announcement.
I don't know if this is any good, but he's also threatening the c pawn. And if I defend it with b3 here, then he can take the rook. I can play queen b3, defending the pawn. The knight's defending my bishop. So let's just play this as a gambit. That was unintended, but I do have a lot of development here. Let's see if it's worth something. I mean, I have 3 pieces out. The rule of thumb is three steps in development is worth a pawn. So I have 3 pieces out and I've castled, and he only has his queen out, and now he's developed a knight. So I have the the theoretical compensation for a pawn. How's the best way to play this? I don't want to bother moving my queen again. Maybe rook to the e file. Yeah, he's just going to develop very solidly here, it looks like. So I am going to need to move my queen back. Maybe to play a3, b4 and try and gain some space on the queen side. And he's developing logically, just bringing us, setting up his solid pawn structure, and I'm going to get quite a lot of space. He lets me do all of this. Quite a lot. And now the target, I think, should be the e6 pawn, so maybe figure out a way to play f4, f5 and undermine that pawn. The bishop will have to move. Doesn't really have a lot of great squares here. Let's put the rook on the file where it wants to go. Oh, and I have an idea. Maybe oh, I don't know if I like that. If I'm going to play g3 and then f4, that'll leave a lot of holes here. But it gives a place for my bishop, and it supports bishop to f4, hitting his queen. And now, a knight to that square or that square might be good. Let's start with knight here. I don't know how you avoid exchanges. They always say when you have more space you should avoid exchanges. It'd be nice to know that trick. I always end up having to exchange. You see, like it's happening here. Now here is one idea. I can put the bishop on this square. He decides not to take it. If he took it, it would have given me a passed pawn. Although that passed pawn might have been difficult to support. It's not clear. So maybe it's time to continue undermining. undermining on the queen side where it looks like I have the advantage. If I go forward to A5 here, he's got bishop to D8, so maybe back here. Think about A3. Think about A3 and B4. Okay, so he's isolating my bishop here. Let's drop back. I want to keep the bishop. I think part of my compensation is that I have the bishop pair. So I don't want to give it up for no good reason. He can play bishop to F6 though, I guess. I can't really stop him. I'm preparing with A4, I'm preparing B5, going after these light squares. It's the light squared bishop I have that he has no counterpart on, so I'm hoping to get some play on that diagonal. I have to be careful about the C pawn, I guess. Maybe I should play, yeah, there he goes. Maybe I should play rook to C1 at some point. But, well, as long as this bishop is not being threatened and it supports the C pawn, I don't have to do that. Okay, my opponent is stopping to think. He was playing all that very, very quickly. I was playing too quickly, too. I should have stopped and thought at a few points, I'm sure. It's 30 moves, and I've only used 6 minutes. 2 minutes. I've only used 2 minutes on the clock. I should have used at least half of my time. In 30 minutes. That's my rule of thumb. Half your time in 30 moves. A quarter of the time in 15 moves, you know. Because most games finish by 60 moves, so if you're on a schedule like that, you're doing pretty well. Aha! So he goes for the undermining himself. So do I still want to push on with B5? It kind of undermines the knight there. If he takes on C5, I will take back with the bishop. Yeah, so I got the queen side totally cleaned out. Let's see, does he have some weird tempo move with a knight? Probably not, because I take the rook with check. And as long as his knight is not moving with check, I'm okay. I could go for giving him the isolated pawn. Bishop takes, pawn or knight takes. Yeah, so now he goes back to harassing my my bishop. So I can attack his rook. But the knight would take. Let's see, is there any way to get something here? Yes, I will. I will keep the bishop on still. Okay, he's going after the queen next, which I think is pretty logical. Putting the queen on a dark squared diagonal. I'm looking at his rook. I guess his rook is defended by the bishop, so maybe it's not doing any good. Let's see, at this point, bishop takes, pawn takes, or rook takes. Yeah, it's not doing anything. So, yeah, my idea was to come back here perhaps here. So now his now his knight is pinned against the queen. I have queen to... No, it doesn't do anything. Queen e5, bishop f6 once again. Doesn't do anything. Yeah, there he goes with the bishop f6 already. So now when I take, he can't take with the knight. He has to take with a pawn. Strike while there's a pin on. Now when I take the knight, he takes with the rook. I take with the rook, he takes with the queen. Does not help. So maybe here. What I'm doing is I'm hitting actually the h-pawn over here on h6. He defends it. Okay, so now pawn takes, rook takes. Still nothing special there. The other loose pawn is over here, but it's not loose, it's actually defended. Let's see, is there some way to attack that knight? Okay, I'm going to go to this square, maybe to get to b5 and attack the knight from the side. Incidentally, looking at the f6 pawn, yeah, so he protects the knight from the side and unpins. So maybe queen here. Everything's pretty nicely protected. The bishop protects my rook. I mean, in my camp. Also in his camp, but I'm the one who usually gets into trouble with this. But bishop's protecting the rook. The queen can't be attacked by the knight. It can only be harassed by the rook or the queen. Okay, so shall I go for it? Bishop takes. Rook takes. Rook takes. So after bishop takes, what's he going to play? Has he got a check or something? Maybe he's going to... maybe he's going to attack my my rook somehow. After bishop takes, the rook is no longer defended. Here he has a check. Check here or here on the dark squares, or there. Yeah, that's annoying. And then he has a check there.
Check.
Yeah, I didn't want that. Okay, well, this probably should be a draw anyway, but not what I wanted. I don't want to trade queens and give him a passed pawn. That would definitely be bad. But, well, 4 against 3 with queens on the board, I think it should be a draw.
Check.
Let's take away some squares from his king and don't let his pawns get too advanced. I don't want to get trapped in the corner here and get mated with the pawns. Pawns and queen can mate you pretty quick. So you need to keep them away from your king. And he's preventing my king from coming forward here with his placement of his pawns here. Let's see. Should I throw in a check down here somewhere? I think I want to get to this light square e2. Control this diagonal. There's also a check on b6, I guess. It's an idea. Okay, let's see where he goes. I can play a pawn up with check at some point. I don't know if that's any good. Let's see, pawn up. he has pawn forward with check, so I don't want to allow that. Yeah, I don't want to trade. Yeah, it's just a question of where is a good square for the queen. Okay, looks like I'm going to have to take that pawn. So now it's 3-on-2, but the fewer pawns there are, the easier it is to draw, I think. Okay, on this square I'm pinning the f-pawn, and I have a check on c6. Okay, covers the check. Yeah, let's go to this square. So he's got his queen there. Maybe he's trying to create a Zugzwang. I can give a check.
Check.
Goes back. Yeah, going forward was a little bit dangerous.
Check. Check.
I'll repeat if he wants to repeat. Okay, decides not to do that. Okay, so what I want to do now is get to some square on the back rank. And actually, maybe I can just go there, right? If I go here to f8, I'm threatening queen here, checkmate. Is it mate? No, it's not mate because he always has this square. Aha. I wonder. Well, let's come back here for a moment. His king could try to creep forward here and here. That might be an interesting plan. Somewhat risky, however. Okay, came forward with a pawn, so there is no more there's no more going forward. His king is stuck in the back rank. So if I come down here and start delivering checks, he can't ever escape them. Unless he pushes a pawn forward. Which he could do now. He could play f4. And I could start delivering checks and see where they go. So check, and he comes forward to here. And then there's a check. There's no more checks after that, right? Check. There's a check here. King comes forward to here. This is looking a little bit interesting. Let's try these checks. See which way he wants to go. Queen's guarding the h-pawn.
Check. Check.
Now I got in touch with the f-pawn, which is one thing I wanted to do. So his king has to come back to defend the f-pawn, and then I can check it away again. So, oh, he didn't do that. Okay, so this is just a draw, right? Two pawns against two pawns. Can't get more drawn than that, unless there is some weird thing about the king position. If the king comes forward, I go here. So he goes there, okay. If I go forward, he goes on to attack the pawn. Wow. I can't believe it. I may have I may have gone into a losing king and pawn endgame. That's hard to believe. Yeah, man, oh man. He could just force my king away and push his pawn forward.
Check.
He's not doing this in the most efficient way, but it's probably good enough.
Check.
He defends his pawn even. Okay, I'm going to resign here. Okay, well, I'll
White
upload this and do a
resigns.
post-mortem. See you guys later. Bye.